it's so weird how it becomes a privilege to do something that
Even
you
When
love.
people
physically,
ask, why
films,
did you get
just
your doctorate?
anything
Educated.
art based in general in film
Mm.
is quite difficult.
Okay, professional.
Welcome to the Mukundi Foundation Limited podcast series. For more information on what this podcast is about, check out our introduction video on YouTube at Tanaka Mapundira. For now, let's get into this episode.
I'm glad we're here now.
Okay, awesome. Please do go ahead and introduce yourself and briefly tell us about what you do.
Yeah, my name is Rowan Sakarombe. I'm a creative. I'm an artist. I'm a visual artist and a director, but obviously, like you don't want to be like boxing yourself and like putting one title to it. So I just call myself a creator.
Mhm.
And I'm into fashion. I'm also into films and just branding as a whole.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been doing that for the past 5 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Please do share with us your journey from high school, even before then or before time, to where you are now. I would really love for the audience to hear about your journey and hopefully take something away from it.
Yeah. So it's a pretty long story, but I'm only 24, so it's not really that long.
Okay, we
But
want all the juicy details. We want everything.
yeah. So yeah, I can say I've been a creative for like my whole life because even from an early age, I used to just enjoy drawing. Like when I realized I actually I enjoyed art and just drawing was like in grade one,
Mhm.
uh, in Mutare being the city I grew up in, and from then on, it just became a hobby that I used to do at home, and I never used to do homework, but I'd always like spend that time just drawing and just trying to create and just trying to like fulfill these dreams I had. I feel like I was living Phineas and Ferb kind of lifestyle because everything was just like just ideas and just drawing and just like just imagining things. So
Mhm.
I've always been a dreamer my whole life, and that has carried on up until now. I'm still trying to create things on a daily basis and just do things that I feel like aren't conventional and just try to express myself the best way possible. I mean, in high school, I spent my high school years in Harare,
Mhm.
and my favorite subject obviously was art. So I wouldn't mind if we're doing uh, like a two double period of just art and just drawing. Like it felt like I was in like my natural state, and I was just like in my natural space, and I was very comfortable, and I wouldn't mind doing that. And that's when I realized like really wouldn't mind doing that for like my whole life. And yeah, I just took it upon myself. So when I finished high school, I did my O levels, and then I didn't go to A's because I wanted to do something practical. So I went to a technical college in Harare, and that's where I was studying design. I just needed to get something like I just needed to get some education like real quick. Like I just needed something real quick. But then when I was in college, I kind of understood. I don't know. I don't want to say like I didn't really feel satisfied with the education I was getting. But
Mhm.
every time I would leave school and college, I'd come back home and spend hours on YouTube just learning things that aren't being taught at school. So I could say like most of the things I'm practicing now and most of the things I've been doing literally had to go out there and find the ways to do so myself instead of waking up, going to class and thinking maybe
Mhm.
it might be something I'm gonna use in life.
Yeah, honestly,
So
university felt like that for me as well. Like
yeah.
I was paying to teach myself through YouTube. I feel like YouTube should be
Exactly.
there somewhere on my degree, honestly.
No, like literally, I feel like it should be like YouTube learning should be a skill set that you should put on your CV because
Mm,
there's a lot of information out there, but a lot of people don't really have the patience, I guess. But at the same time, a lot of people just aren't skilled enough or don't have that skill to actually go out there and look for the information themselves.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just about to ask you a question about the time when you decided to not do your A levels and go to a technical college instead. Was there any kind of resistance you faced from anyone? Was there any kind of discouragement? Like what was your environment like growing up as a creative? Did you have support from your parents? Were there like any set of like professional values kind of imposed on you in any kind of way?
Yeah, well, growing up, definitely I remember having conversations with my parents about, like what uni you'd want to go to. And like I would always be like, yo, I feel like maybe like going to Australia and then just going to like all these different places and like Canada and whatnot. Like those conversations were had like we had those conversations. And obviously it was an exciting time because that time I was still actually about to write my O's. So it wasn't really yet time to actually now finally make that decision, right?
Mm,
But when the time came to then make that decision, um, I it was now a decision that had to be made like there and then. So when I had to now decide on pursuing this or going to uni or going to a technical college, it was kind of difficult because I grew up with both my parents, and sometimes in our household things can there can be some divisions, right?
mm.
And these decisions need to be made, especially if it's like uh, your firstborn child and like what is he gonna do next? Like whatever he's going to do is gonna set an example for like all
Oh,
the
not
other
the
kids that
firstborn burden.
yeah, so it was quite difficult. And then as well, one parent wanted me to do something else and the other wanted me to do something else.
Mm.
So me making a decision at that point was like almost like choosing like who's your favorite parent.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh, so cringe.
Yeah, it was almost like having to choose like who your favorite parent is or like who you're gonna listen to. And they were both adamant and they were both standing their ground on like what they expect you to do.
Mm.
So it was quite difficult. And yeah, during that period, shit was crazy. Like, it was crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah, we passed that stage, and I just eventually just decided, yo, let me actually just go for this and just do this as quickly as possible, and let me follow my plan. So it was not really about like what I'm feeling
Mm.
at that time, despite what everyone else expects me to do, even just outside of the family as well. Like externally, sometimes, obviously, um, from a parent's point of view, when you have children and they grow up and they're now making like decisions for themselves and like they're now going to school and like uni and things like that. Obviously, parents have these conversations between themselves when they're like, "Oh, like what is your child doing?" Like,
Mm.
like, and it's quite difficult to then say like, "Oh, he's doing this, he's doing that, or he's not in uni, but mine is," things like that,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because of the background and also because of their peers. So they might also they also get hit with peer pressure as well. So it's quite difficult trying to maneuver around all these things and still like being true to yourself and being true to your dreams and knowing like your plan will work. So self-belief is a crazy thing, but it's a concept that always I think that always works eventually at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's how I saw it. And I just made the decision. I just went to college for like 4 years, doing design. But yeah, I think it was worth it because for the most part, I think it was beneficial for me based upon the people I met there and the relationships I built during that period because I was like the youngest in my class. I was like 16, so I didn't have like a gap year. So I just went straight to it. I just went straight into college at like 16. Just as soon as my results came out, then I went to college, and then yeah, I just met a lot of people that just opened my eyes and really made me realize this how life is, and also just how bad life can get. And yeah, it just opened my eyes to see like, yo, if I need to make this work, it needs to work now, and I need to actually be serious and have a very and be strict with myself, but not too strict, but also just giving myself space to just learn who I truly am along the way. And that way you make and when I did that, I kind of realized the type of art I can do and the type of designs I can do and the place I can actually take this.
Okay. Two questions. I'm gonna ask two questions now because I fear that I may forget the other one if I don't ask it now. But
Okay.
first question is, which college did you go to and how did you get information about that specific school? And then the second question is, why do you think it was so difficult to navigate that situation where you wanted to study something along the lines of creativity compared to a case where like someone wants to be a doctor or like
Yeah.
engineer or something specifically
Yeah.
in the context of Zoom?
So answering your first question, which was how I maneuvered around all the thing. Or wait, your first question was
about, about which school you studied
oh,
at
like the
and how
school.
you
I
found
was about the
information.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, information found about the school. Yeah, so with the school, I went to Harare Polytechnic College. So yeah, that's in Harare CBT. And I found out about the school pretty much. Obviously, just doing my research and just trying to see like where best I could actually practice it and where it was. So that's pretty much like I can say the only well-known polytechnic college in Harare at the time.
Okay.
So the options were not really plentiful. So I didn't really have a lot of options to play around with, but I just took a chance. And yeah, I can say it went well. It definitely went well. I can say
Sorry,
it's a
just
very good school.
for interest sake, what options were available to you at that school?
At the time, there was a school called Ziwa Academy, which was Zimbabwe Institute of Visual Arts, and there was Vega. Vega School is an institute in Joburg, if I'm not mistaken, which also focuses on just the arts, just visual design, and I think they also like teach 3D there as well. Yeah, I can see options, but I was not based in SA, so being in Zim, I was only left with two options, and then the one school being Ziwa was only starting up at the time, so it didn't have I can say credibility. Didn't have a lot of credibility at the time.
Okay.
It was just starting up. Yeah, so it only left me with one option being Harare Poly.
Okay.
But for Harare Poly, they were only teaching like design for print, which is pretty much just designing, uh, almost just like graphic design.
Okay.
Yeah, graphic design. So I didn't really have access. I didn't have access to learning visual arts and like 3D and yeah, and like film and all that. So I had to teach that myself. I had to teach myself that.
Okay.
I have to go out there and literally go on YouTube Academy, YouTube University. Yeah. So that was crazy.
Yeah.
And then obviously the second question, how I had to maneuver that, how I had to like just find my way to learning art and just making that decision. Obviously, being in Zim is quite difficult because having a profession that is doing with the art industry and like entertainment and whatnot, even if it's design or film, just anything art based in general in Zim is quite difficult because of how people see it and how people perceive it, especially our parents' generation. They don't really want to hear anything about that. They don't want to hear if you're trying to be an artist or you want to be a musician, especially a musician is quite that's like a forbidden thing. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. You can't do that. Yeah, but a lot of my friends are artists, are musicians.
Why do
A
you
couple
think,
of
in your opinion, why do you think they have that perception of the arts and
yeah,
creative industry?
I think it's case studies, the case studies that are there, the examples of people that have taken that route and
Mm,
that have decided to take that uh, up as a profession, how they ended up and how they were not really successful.
mm,
And I kind of blame just how things are structured in Zim in the arts industry and just in the creative sector as a whole, because it's not prioritized and therefore the systems aren't in place for anyone to actually make money. Um, if you're based in Zim and you're doing creative work and you're an artist, so it's kind of difficult to then tell your parents like, yo, this is what I want to do,
mm-hmm.
and I believe in myself and I believe that I will actually achieve the dreams I want and the goals that I've set for myself. I mean, they can say you're being delusional as well, and you will get those comments like, "Nah, you're being delusional," or be realistic. Like I think that's the most common one.
Mm.
Like just be real. Might as well just learn law or be a doctor, and
And do that
obviously
stuff on
tradition.
the side.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and like do that on the side, and yeah, that could be like a plan B. So every time I think they always look at creative work and like being an artist, and yeah, as a plan B. But a plan A is obviously get your papers, get your degree, and have a traditional job. Be a doctor, be a dentist, be a lawyer, whatever the case is. Just don't be a creative or an artist. But yeah, but at the end of the day, that mindset still exists, but the world is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see, funny thing now is that every dentist, everyone with a traditional job, if they want to put themselves out there, everyone's turning out to be a creative now. Like everyone's calling themselves a
Yeah.
creative. Yeah, creative dentist, a creative lawyer, or like everyone's turning out to be some sort of a creative now. Like,
Mm.
and it's quite crazy because that's really where the world is going to. Like we're entering a creative revolution, you know, and like everyone wants to express themselves. And obviously now we have platforms like Twitter that are now paying like people to just be on their platforms. And mostly the people that are getting paid the most are creatives. And the world is starting to see the importance of being an artist and being a creative because everything now is digital and the only way you can actually fully stand out is if you're a creative in the digital world.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, thanks for sharing all of that. That was really insightful. Um, in terms of like someone who might be listening right now who is still in school maybe and they're trying to figure out how to step into what they want to become as a creative, is there any
Yeah.
word of advice or just like anything really that you would like to say to that person?
I would definitely say don't be afraid to try everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you try everything, that's the only way you fully understand yourself and you fully understand what you're good at and what you should put your focus into the most.
Mm.
And not to listen to your peers and those sly comments when you present your artwork or and don't also let their comments or let them validate your work.
Mm.
Just you also do it for yourself. And if you feel that it's great and you feel that it's fulfilling, keep on doing it. And yeah, just but for the most part, just try everything. Once you try everything, you'll fully understand what you're good at and you understand what you should focus on the most.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that's something I would have wanted to hear. Like I was trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. But yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time. That pretty much brings us to the end of this episode. And to everyone who's listening, thank you guys for tuning in.